Welcome to RC Garden.
Well, hey, it's Rick here, and welcome back to another exciting episode of RC Gardens. Today, we're in the kitchen because, it's cold weather outside, and we've already got the rhubarb mulched, and we've got the garlic planted, and we got it all mulched up, and the garden's pretty well put away for winter. So we're inside today, and we're going to be doing a whole series of doing some cooking. So RC's going to cook. But today, I'm going to make my puppy dogs some treats. I've got a recipe here that I like to do with them. It uses bananas. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to make these cookies for the dogs. They're a little healthier treat than maybe some of the Chinese treats that we buy for our dogs, which we try not to do that, but anymore we don't know where our food comes from. So I'm going to try to make the most healthy treats that I can for them, and we're going to get started. Show you more.
Now this is the recipe I'm going to use. So you can stop it right here and look at it. I will also put the ingredients and maybe some brief instructions in the description below. So let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, so I've got all my ingredients laid out here. So there's 5 cups of flour, and then a cup and a third, I think it calls for a cup and a half of banana puree, and that's about 3 bananas. And I like real ripe bananas. And I didn't run it through my food processor. I could have, and if you have one of those, you can do that as well. I just take this, because I know I'm going to have this to get it out of here, and I just kind of whip it. If they're soft bananas and, the ones that are starting to turn brown like you saw in the beginning, that's what we're using, they whip up pretty quick. And then you've got a half a teaspoon of vanilla, which seems like an odd thing to put in there, but for a dog. It sounds like this would be, tasty for us to eat. So, and there's an egg, and I did take my little wire whipper thing and kind of bust up that yolk in there a little bit. And then there's an eighth a cup of peanuts, which there's a little bit more than that in there. So I probably won't put that whole thing in, only about half of it. And then there is a 1/4 cup of oil. So I always like to sift, all of my dry ingredients. We're not putting salt or anything like that in it, but they seem to cook better and rise better if you do that. So we got that in there. Let's just kind of sift this around. All this does is get any big chunks out of it. The cheap flour like I buy a lot of times has little hard nodules in it, like that right there. I don't know if that's a rock or what that is, but so we're going to dump that over here in the sink, like so. And then we are going to take our spoon, which I forgot to get out, right here, and we are going to add the wet stuff, it says. So, add wet and mix until lumpy. Well, pretty much all of this is wet. So we're going to put in this. And again, the instructions and all of the stuff will be in the description below. Let's see if we can get that out of there. Yeah, that's why I like to keep these things around. These are handy. So we're going to do that. I'm surprised that the dogs are not in here ready to enjoy. There's our oil. That's a wet thing. Put that over in the sink. And it says to mix until lumpy. And while I'm mixing this up, I'm going to go ahead and put my 1/8 cup of nuts in there because that's a dry ingredient. And
Let's get this mixed around. Now, one thing, we will have to add some water to it. It doesn't say how much, but in the instructions, it tells you to add water as needed until it's consistently lumpy. If you've ever made cookies or anything, you're going to kind of understand that you have to have, or biscuits or anything like that, you're going to have enough moisture to help hold this dough together. So I just keep a little water here, and you don't want to put a whole bunch in at once, because depending on the temperature in the room and the humidity and all of that stuff plays a part in making any kind of dough, whether it's dog treats or whether it's human treats, right? So I think that needs just a little bit more. I just put a little in at a time and keep stirring until you get a nice, consistent dough. Okay, well, as you can see, that's turned into a pretty consistent dough. So now I'm going to do just like any kind of cookie thing, if you're cutting cookies like for Christmas or whatever. So we're going to get out our dough sheet here, and we're going to flour this up a little bit. Oh, I'm going to have to put some more flour in the flour Tupperware container, the flour container, whatever. Yeah. So, all right. And just get your hands right in it. I'm going to tell you something about dogs. Dogs are, I'd put that over there. Dogs, they know your scent. And so anytime you're feeding dogs or doing anything like that with dogs, you need to have your hands in the food. When I make their food, I don't use a spoon to stir it up, because a lot of times we put gravy or something in there. And I don't use a spoon. I just use my hands, because you are going to want, let's get some general, let's put a bunch of that on there. You're going to want your human scent on their food. That makes them realize that you are the one that feeds them. And anyway, it's kind of a, look it up. I learned that from Caesar or whatever his name is. So we're putting that, I think it says about 3/4 of an inch or a 1/2 inch, something like that. And that's about where we are. Now, I have chosen, I've got some little cute cookie cutters, but they work really well for some of the other stuff that I make for them. But this dough is pretty thick and airy, so I'm going to use a small glass. The smallest, I'm talking about the perimeter here. This is one of my BC glasses. But we're just going to go through here just like we was making little biscuits, because, that's kind of what these are. And we're just going to cut them out like so. And don't be afraid to reuse this dough. So, because we're going to take this dough that's left over, and we're going to actually mix it back together and make some more of these, because this is going to make several dozen. Now, anytime I'm making these treats for them and it's got a lot of flour and stuff in it, I don't give them a whole lot of it, because they don't need all those grains. Dogs really do better on more of a carnivore diet, but they're like us humans in they like their treats and they like these little goodies. I'm actually surprised that they're not in here with their noses up here while I'm working, but it is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're napping, so anyway, let's get these put on there and I'll show you more. Okay, so we've got our oven set at
Yeah, 325. Yeah, 325. So we're going to take and put this first batch in here. Now this is a convection oven, so it doesn't take quite as long. So we're going to set the timer. Now the instructions say to cook these for like, I don't know, 15 minutes in a conventional oven, but like I said, this is a confectioner oven, so it does tend to cook things a little faster. So I set it on 10 minutes, and we'll kind of look at those, and I'll show you more. Okay, so after the 10 minutes, I'm going to pull them out of the oven because we're not quite done cooking them yet. Because, you know, these are pretty good size for the dogs. So we're going to take and cut each one of these in half, just like so. And we're going to stand them all up on edge like this. And we're going to cook them for another 3 minutes. So let me get that done and I'll show you more. I don't know how well the camera was adjusted there, so, you know, like I said, I cut those in half and turn them up on edge. And now we're going to put them back in there for about another 3 minutes or so. So we're going to put these back in the oven, just like so. And I suppose if you have really big dogs that you could, well, you know, we have one big dog, but I suppose you could give them a whole biscuit. It's not a problem. But little girly, she eats like she's a big dog, but, you know, she needs to not be eating as much. So anyway, let's let that cook, and when the dinger goes off, we'll put them out on the cooling rack. Show you more. Okay, well, the dinger just went off. So I'm going to pull these out of here, and you can see they're actually nice and golden brown now. So we're going to just lay these out like this. And I can't believe that the pups aren't in here, because I know they can smell it. And little girly, she loves bananas. I mean, if you get a banana out and she sees it, she just, you know, she's your best friend. So I'm really kind of surprised that they haven't woke up from their nap and come rushing in here. But you wouldn't want to give them to them when they're hot anyway. And you know, and like I said a little bit ago, you don't want to give them too many of these. But they're nice little treats, and we have some neighbors with dogs, and so, you know, we kind of share this kind of stuff around a little. But these make nice little banana treats for the dogs. They even kind of look like bananas. Sort of, you know. Not really, but kind of. Okay, well, they're all out of the ice box. Yeah, I was going to tell you I store them in the ice box, but they're all out of the oven, and little girly's in here. Do you want to try one? This bottom row is cooled, and they're pretty good, actually. How about you, old man? This is our Gunnar dog. He doesn't hear well anymore. You guys want a treat? Do you like them? She loves bananas. So anyway, it's just a little something you can do for your pets. I mean, at least I know what's in them. I'm not saying that they should eat a lot of this kind of stuff, but, you know, most dog foods is full of all kinds of crap we don't even know what it is, and especially dog treats, you really got to watch where you buy them. So something like this is a nice treat for them. They've headed off into their little area where they eat everything. So anyway, thanks for coming along. Be sure and like and share, and thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. That really helps YouTube understand that, hey, people want to watch this video. So, oh, she's back for another one already, but she's not going to get one. So, no, they're for later.